people, it is back by popular demand after a long vacation. Long vacation.
Very long.
2019 coming out in style at the Roundtable. What's going on?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, family. Well, I'm Kerry Digsby, guy behind the board. I'd like to introduce all these lovely individuals, partners in crime, family. I'll start right here.
Oh my God. Tika Rose. Hello, everyone. Glad to be back.
Hey, good evening, Adrian Biddle.
Lucy's Howie. Happy to be here. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, so as we always do, we got to get the catch up. You know, people haven't seen us in some months, few months, or whatever sort. So you got to tell us what each one is doing right now. How was your holiday? How was your New Year before we get into the meat of the matter?
Well, I'll go. I tried to play holidays low key. My family rejected that notion. And so, you know, I had to get out and be social, but I kind of kept it close to the cuff, you know, stayed with family, nothing too wild and crazy. I've actually just kind of been doing work at home, you know, just trying to get my groove back, get ready for the new year. What's up?
For me, it's been a much needed little time away. I haven't been doing too much of anything. I've just been just straight relaxing. Much needed. Had the opportunity to recharge my batteries and everything, and ready to get back at it.
Well, I wish I could say that I was doing much of nothing. Not the case, though. We have a lot of projects that are coming up, so announce those as they get closer. But I did spend a lot of time with family. Christmas Day, we did a volunteer with the Roman Harper Foundation, which was really great. Roman Harper and Heather Harper are some really great folks because the way they volunteer, they do it low key. Nobody knows that they adopt these 16, 17, 18, 20 families and give away all this stuff to needy families and bikes to children, and they just do it, you know, through their foundation, but they do it very quietly, no cameras, none of that. And it was great to be able to volunteer with them and be able to help out in that way. So doing a lot of that stuff, still working with ITF and AHD, a new foundation. Well, it's 20 years in a foundation, but we're relaunching where we work with kids aging out of the foster care program and people who have been victims of human trafficking. And so we have a big event coming up for All-Star Weekend, and we will let you know more about it. That's posted.
That's a lot.
It's always a lot.
So you're sweating listening.
But it's nice,
Yeah,
though.
that's
I'm
cool.
sure those families were appreciative too.
Oh man,
That's the
great.
That's the Panther, right?
He's an ex-Panther, but spent most of his time with the New Orleans Saints, and so now he is a globetrotter, pretty much. You know that he goes between. I want to say, where am I talking about? Louisiana, and Alabama, and here, and so they do a lot of work in all three of those places. So, yeah, great family.
Is he from Louisiana?
From what I think he went to school in Alabama.
So maybe
I
that
think
area.
he's from Alabama.
I'm just asking. I want to know. You know, some big gumbo.
There you go.
He probably does, or Heather probably does. They spend enough time down in New Orleans. So,
Yeah, you gotta get those authentic gumbo.
Oh,
flavors.
yes.
Otherwise, you just wasted your time.
But shout out to them, good people. So, yeah.
What's up?
Well,
Shouts out to Tammy Lawrence. She just joined us. What's going on, Tammy?
Hey, Tammy.
All right.
She's been missing for a while too.
For a while.
Well, what's she been up to?
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, Brandon Chuck Brown, singles aid was serious. Yes. What's going on, my brother? All right. And then we got Melissa Bartlett.
Miss Bartlett.
Hey. Yeah, she said she was going to join us this evening, and she's another alpha female. So yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So people are excited about the topic.
Yes, they are. They said, Brandon just says, glad to see you back. Thank you, Brandon.
Appreciate it, bro.
And he said, ready to hear the topic. Well, okay, so who's going to introduce the topic? Because this is going to be very interesting.
Go right ahead.
Look at me. I'm looking at you. Look at me. I think Adrian would like to kick
I
us
think
off
so.
with the new
I think
year.
so too.
I feel it. Plus your name starts with an A.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta go in order.
That's right.
All right, well, here we go. Can you have a best friend of the opposite sex while being in a marriage or committed relationship? That's the nice discussion.
Dun. It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Who want to dip their toes into that one first?
Yes,
You know
yes.
I will.
You know you will. Being an alpha female that you
You know I will.
Yeah.
Well, just because, you know, I believe yes. I believe yes, wholeheartedly. I've always grown up having boy best friends
Mm-hmm.
my entire life. Kindergarten up, it wasn't that I, you know, went to make them my best friends, like over the girls, but it was always boys. My entire life, up until high school and up until I met my husband, who is of differing opinion. So that was interesting.
Say it ain't so, man.
It was interesting because my best friend at the time, I was like real tight with, and I was like, look, my guy, this is my new boo, but this is my best friend, so you're gonna have to deal with this, buddy. He did and he didn't, but overall, like, he was okay with it, you know, and we've been together for so long now, 20 years as of New Year's Day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still in touch with that friend, but you know, my husband is my best friend ultimately now. So it's not that I elect to want to have someone else. It just we've been down like 4 flat tires for years, and he's my bestie.
Flattering.
He's the one I just like to give all the gossip to.
Gotcha. Aren't you Batiste?
Me?
You know, Spot.
Sorry.
Okay, so I, like Tika, have always had really close male friends. I see absolutely, I truly see absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think that my significant other is probably of a differing opinion as well. But I think that everything that you do, there has to be a level of decorum and respect. And so if the best friend is putting the relationship or the partner in an uncomfortable situation, you know, because sometimes you have best friends that really overstep their bounds. And so it's up to the person who is in the friendship to set the boundary, I think. And so I think that it's possible, but I do think that it's delicate because you never want it to, you don't want to give the appearance of impropriety, and sometimes it can. So.
Cool.
So we're not going to take from that that guys have a problem with their women, because we still need to get the other side of the story. But it sounded not that great for the guys.
Okay, so Brandon just said yes, as long as the person, both parties.
I don't think they have to be friends with both
Yeah.
parties.
What if they're not?
What if they're not? What if they don't know each other? And what if they have absolutely nothing in common? So I think that there has to be respect on both sides.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think, more so on the side from the friend to the spouse or the significant other. But I don't think that they have to be friends, hang out, be cool. They can be cordial, but they don't have to be friendly, you know,
Cordial.
friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cordial with that evil eye.
Yeah, because you can get into a situation where they just straight up don't even like each other.
Right.
Right.
So you've got one person pulling in your ear like, I'm not digging this person, and then the other person in your ear like, I don't like that. You need to, you know, then it can become volatile for the person in the middle, and that's not fair. So it should be respect given. to
I
all
do think that
parties.
significant others, though, can feel energy. So I've been in situations where, you know, my significant other felt like, okay, it's something going on with this particular person. You know, I have a friend right now, as a matter of fact, he's an ex that my significant other is cool with. They're cool, like they knew each other. They didn't know each other, but they know each other through me.
Right.
And they're, you know, very, very, very cordial. But then I have, you know, a friend that I spend a lot less time with at this point because my significant other felt a vibe.
Mhm.
And once he felt that and he brought that to my attention, then it was up to me to, if he's important to me, it's up to me to kind of navigate and say, hey, I gotta cut you back a little bit because he's feeling a certain type of way.
So Melissa just said, yes, I too had more male friends than female friends. So, however, okay, I'm gonna hold off on that question, Melissa. That's a very spicy one. So hold on. Let me get to the next thing. Because Ajira Ball, I'm sorry, I can't say your name. I got a kid cold. Andre Boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Lady O.
Yeah.
Lady
That's so
O.
long.
Just call her Lady O.
Lady
Hey,
O.
Lady
That's
O.
right. What's going on,
How are
Lady O?
you?
My bad. I'm sorry. I'm good. She said, yes, you can. If there is trust and openness in the relationship, trust is the word, and it has to be walked into gently. Man, she's like, that's what I like. Okay, so then Mahogany says, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Mahogany. All right. A Money, did you want to chime in before I drop the spiciness?
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and hurry up and blow through mine real quick. You know, kind of pique my curiosity. I think that you can, in my particular situation, my wife, that she had a friend she grew up with and a trustworthy person. I would be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it just is. It comes with respect and trust. But with that being said, I would be open to it. Now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not so much. Yeah.
Why?
Different mindset because this could open up a whole nother avenue.
Mhm.
Just guys, just certain things.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna open up a can of worms for you
Okay.
because
I was ready. I had a backup can in case your can didn't open.
you know. So you can be a supplemental can.
Okay.
of worms,
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the bag of chips on the
Okay. Well, I'm always of the school of thought though, and sorry, Adrian, if there's always a problem, if you're all, because that goes back to trust, you know. So if there's always an issue and if there's always, well, why this or why that, you might want to check the person to make sure there's nothing going on that end.
Mhm.
Because if there's always a situation, you know, a lot of times people will, you know, put onto you or project onto you what they're feeling or guilty about.
Mhm.
And so, you know, if you're always uncomfortable in situations, either you have a confidence issue, you know, or B, there's something going on behind the scenes that the other party is not aware of. So that's my thought.
Yeah. And to piggyback, either confidence and or security,
Right.
being, you know, insecure within oneself. But I'm just gonna go ahead and kick off the year and get the guys angry with me
Okay.
because I have a theory
Go ahead.
In a house full of men, my sons, my husband, I have nothing but brothers and boy cousins mainly. I have a theory that men don't typically mature until age 50. Sorry, guys.
Whoa,
Well,
that kind of hurt.
I'm sorry. And that is not a blanket statement. It's not a blanket statement. It's just so far a running theory because, I think of my father-in-law, they're very chill and reserved and they always weren't so. And, so I seek them out for, advice, as does my husband. And it's just like, we and women have their ages of maturity too that are varied. So, but I just feel like, yes, there are the legal ages, but I think as we experience life, men start to experience themselves a little later. And then they're more open to things that they weren't open to 10 years ago more. And so some of them just never mature.
oh, there's something that, I don't know what that was.
Study here.
Stay over there, Mr. Bug.
Yeah.
Catch that.
Okay.
Hey, before you jump into Melissa, we said I forgot about you, Melissa. What you got to say on that? So,
About my comment on the situation. Well, okay, hold on. Tammy said, I feel that you can as long as they know where to draw the line and know their place in the friendship. Okay.
Okay.
That's a very good, interesting view. Good topic. Good analogy you thought in regards to maturing to 50, because I'll be 50 January 26th. So I guess I will be finally grown up.
Maybe.
Hello.
You've been mature since I believe forever. You're an old soul though.
Well, thank you. I think it's interesting because I think it does depend on the level of trust. And I say it this, well, I think friendship is one thing. I don't know as far as like a best friend. I mean, I've been always the type of individual who has had always a lot of great friends, and a lot of sisters have been very good friends of mine. And I think in my relationship with my wife, she knows that, I bring them all around, and they always powwow, they talk, they laugh, they trip, and everything like that. On the flip side, though, I did have a situation in which my wife's ex was trying to quote unquote be her friend, and I had this spirit of discernment. I said, babe, something ain't right. And she was like, oh no, he's good,
It's fine. He don't like me like that.
And I was like, you get the cell phone number and everything like that. And then all of a sudden he's macking on her, and she's feeling like, oh my God. So I think we do have a tendency, men are naturally protected. We're hunters and we're protectors. So we tend to sense those things, while women are nurturers, and they have the spirit of discernment when it comes to other things that may affect not just us, but the family as a whole. So I think, like you said, relationships have to have that level of trust and understanding and communication in order for you to have, quote unquote, a friendship of that nature. Now, I think you said, Chris, kind of, okay.
Does not have then. Now, I don't know that he would even really be bothered by it, but, guys are always very, leery of other guys.
Well,
Because we know how the other guys are.
Well, and I will say this though, the same sense that you guys have about certain men, we have the same sixth sense about certain women.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that just comes with being in tune with your significant other or your spouse. And like I said, energy is, fluid. And so if there's this woman that, if my significant other introduced me to someone, as a friend and said, but she was giving off something, I would be extraordinarily cordial and nice. And then I get to the car and say, babe, something was a little off. You know what I mean?
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're right in that situation. I think I think sometimes on both ends. You know what I mean? So energy is fluid, but sexual energy is very vivid in a room. You know what I mean? Even if Yeah. I mean, so okay, so I'm trying to keep a level of decorum, but there's this bug that keeps flying through, and I'm trying to like move him without him bothering me further. So, okay,
Just get rid of him.
Yeah.
get him out. Okay,
Maybe he's trying to be your friend.
no,
Maybe he wants to get in on discussion.
no.
Bug time.
A fan.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I know we want to get to that comment, but I will say that there are, I think, how men and women may be able to kind of read
Mhm.
the opposite sex. You know, that is true.
Mhm.
However, I don't know. I think people who are in the friend role in our position, if you have an interest in somebody, don't introduce yourself into their relationship as your friend. You need to, you know, make your intentions clear. You know, don't sit around pretending to be somebody's friend and then try to hit on the person later, because most times, you know, you can see these romantic comedies and movies that girls love, you know, where the best friend secretly loved them and it was them all along. That's not usually how it goes in real life.
Right.
Usually if you're a girl's friend and then you shoot your shot, you're probably gonna get shot down more than anything.
This isn't the Hallmark Channel.
It's just not. It's just not. So don't try to pretend to be a friend. That would more offend me than anything. Like, oh, you've been my friend for all these years and now you're hitting on me? Like, come on, dude.
So, okay, so that's some good dialogue here. We're gonna go back to Melissa. Hold on, because I gotta share this real quick. Now I want to drop yours, so that this is gonna open up. We done had chips and all that. Now we're getting ready to go to. I'll take it to the meeting. So Lady L said, "Amen. I'm the pet ladies. They don't have to look at themselves. Men don't look at the entire picture. They see what's in front of them." Yes and no, to a certain extent, because a lot of times I think men, and it's like what Letice just said, you know, it's on both sides. Because a lot of times some women, they say the same thing. Well, that ain't my type, and we've always known each other since blah, 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 and that's my work husband, and yada, yada, yada.
No. That's a
I
bad
play them
time.
games.
It is, but,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes that do happen, that, you know, which that work husband tend to be like more than, you know, ask nephew time. All right, so Melissa said, however, what if you and the friend had a sexual past? Ooh.
You know what? And I was saving that.
You were saying,
Well,
yeah.
because Miss Terry, if you're out there watching, I was getting around to it when she had phrased the same question. So I'm glad it finally came up. So does that change anything?
Maybe,
Well,
Hoggy.
but it has to be full disclosure.
that's what I was
It has
going
to
to
be
say.
full disclosure. If you're going to bring somebody into your home or relationship and say, hey, this is my buddy, you better have already let the other person
Absolutely.
know that, hey,
Right.
this was more than a buddy.
Right.
You know, don't let it be a shock or a surprise.
Right.
'Cause you might get shocked or surprised.
Right.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, wait a minute. You get to see a whole other side of something.
But would y'all be open to allowing that friendship to stay?
Oh, no.
So you
Probably
can't.
not.
So basically, you're saying you can't be intimate.
I'm not saying that.
And then
I just personally, I have tomboy tendencies. I don't know if you noticed. Because I came up with all the boys,
right.
you know, so I learned a lot, and I but I am still a girl, very much so. But I'm pretty on the fence with a lot of things that most women might see as no, yes. I can be very visual. It wouldn't sit well with me personally, because I'd be like, oh no, you know, it would bother me every time I saw that person.
To me, I said no, but it would depend on the energy. It would depend on the energy, because like I said, you know, there is a situation like that but you know, full disclosure happened. And they, you know, when they see each other, they're cordial. I mean, it's not even cordial, friendly, you know, and it's because when I'm done, I'm done. Okay,
Mhm.
you know, so there, you don't have to worry about me going back. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? Because if the person feels like there's some indication or some, you know, thought that there could still be something there, I think that's one thing. But, you know, in my particular case, you know, when I'm out, I'm out, you know. If I have fallen out of attraction to you, there's no getting that back. Yeah,
Right.
there's no getting back. So, you know, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but you have to be, your level of discernment has to be there.
Right.
You know? He's leaning up.
Hey, money.
Yes, sir. The guy in me is just screaming out that would be a deal breaker. I'm having a hard time trying to conceptualize of you being able to move on from being intimate, no matter how long ago it was, to now.
Okay, that's because y'all think that y'all are the be all end all to everything. And once we have had one of y'all, oh my God, there's just no way that we can move on. Trust me, fellas, and this is a diversion of a conversation. I'm diverting to somewhere else. We can move on. You didn't rock our world to the point where there's nobody else. Okay. I'm 47. I can say that. Okay. I heard it spill.
Melissa said, Melissa chimed in saying thank you. Wow. Okay.
I mean, seriously, me and my girlfriends, you would be surprised of the conversation that we actually had. And yeah, I mean, we're
Feelings would be hurt.
Feelings would be really hurt. But I'm saying, you know, we get to move on. You know, just because, you know, you were there once does not mean that there's always, oh, that's my baby mama, I can always go back. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Just no, you can't. So.
Well, it may be a little different from our generation right now in comparison to what I'm seeing after us.
I feel like they're matched.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Completely
Yeah, they're like on to the next.
Yeah.
For real, on to the next. Like,
They're detached from a lot worse than relationships, so we're working on it.
Working on it.
We're working on it.
What's going on, Cassandra? How are you? Thank you for joining us
Hi.
tonight. Okay, so Melissa said sex does not equal intimacy.
right.
That's right.
Good point.
Very good point.
Mahogany said, I think it's harder for men to be friends with someone they've had sex with than women. Really?
Mahogany,
I'm feeling like this is like
I think you just offended them, Mahogany.
it's interesting. That's interesting. I think let me repeat that because I want us to dive into that. She said, I think it is harder for men to be friends with someone they had sex with than they have sex with in women. Interesting. That's an interesting concept.
Why do you think that?
I think because, and maybe because I'm built different, but I can honestly say in this full disclosure, I've been friends. I put it this way: I've been friends with former acquaintances or girlfriends and such, and whether there was sex or non-sex or whatever. So, and my mind has always been it's to treat that individual, so therefore you can have a friendship. So
Right.
I've come in contact with exes many a time, and one of the things that I've even had them all in the same room. One time, one thing he said is he treated me like I was a queen, and I think that's very important, and that may be because of the maturity.
For those
Just
who are
want to throw
not
that out
here.
there. Maturity. You didn't hear that. Not 50 yet, but I think that's very important. I think a lot, and like you said, you know, the demographic and the youth of today, they're so detached right now to, I think that they in turn would not be able to do so because they get mad and fight off of the minutest of things, and I think they don't have that ability in comparison to maybe some of the older ones. And I just think, you know, when Heidi, I put it this way. Okay, so my ex, I've always tried to be a friend to, you know, in spite of what has happened between us and our relationship didn't work, and then, you know, to both of us move on and, you know, get married and things of that nature. But I've always tried to be that friend to her because I guess that's how I was raised. And even in my wife's family, it's the same, in which people have been divorced and everything like that. And it's still that open door policy and that love. And I think, to me, it's really odd when you cannot do that. I've had my ex over to our house for Christmas. You know, we've done events, we've done mutual. Matter of fact, we just did the our sons and the wedding thing. And she was there, and her and my wife over there laughing and stuff like that. I'm like,
Well,
yeah.
do you have children with her, though?
Yes.
Okay, that's totally different. To me, that's a completely different realm, because you are supposed to be able to navigate when there are children involved, because, you know, we have to raise productive kids. Me and my son's father have a wonderful relationship, and my significant other and my son's father have a wonderful relationship. In fact, my son's father said, if you break up with him, we're staying together. That's what he said.
Actually,
You know?
I think it goes to show that those children, the products of these blended families and relationships, are more open to allowing those type of friendships because they see it working. And for the ones that have never seen it or never experienced it, or possibly experienced the opposite, they probably don't like that. I have a coworker it's his ex-wife's new husband, and he calls him his husband-in-law. He's like, oh, that's my, and they're like best friends.
Yeah,
but it's just like, you know, but I think products of that blending is what causes somebody to say, I'm okay with it.
Now here's the catch-22, because I'm glad you said that. That took time. Because in the beginning, and the norm is, and I'm gonna throw a little monkey wrench in it since we talked about the men and the maturity and stuff, when you get out of a relationship, which the result is a child, a lot of times those waters aren't calm. And there's always that animosity in the beginning. There's that level of hurt that a lot of times happen on the woman's side. And then it's that time of cooling down. And then, of course, the comparison between yourself and then the new girl or whatever. And then all those things have to work themselves out to get to that level.
Okay, because that sound, ladies, I'm just gonna, you know, I gotta do it. That sounds a bit one-sided, as if women are, you know, we're so hung up that we can't, that we're bitter in that way.
But you just said not too long ago that men have a tendency to think that, oh, well, you know, this is me, and you know, I can't get past it. But it's kind of like it's the same parallel, because the same way in which you think that a man can't get past the fact that he's not the number one, it's the same thing in which a man tries to move on and such, and then there's a little situation, and that's why I say that little friendship thing, it took time.
I think in a woman's case, we just have to be over the relationship. I think once we're over the relationship, and ladies, correct me if I'm wrong or chime in if you have a different opinion. I think once we're over it, we are good to go. And I think that, you know, our once our feelings are no longer open and vulnerable, I think that we can move forward. You know, that's just been my experience.
I have a slightly differing opinion, only because I tend to straddle both sides of the fence a lot. Just because it allows me to have a viewpoint, because I can understand what you're saying. You have to be able to relationship. That's you being a mature woman. I've seen some bitter Bettys.
Oh, definitely.
Who are completely immature, and those are the worst of the worst.
But I think they're not over the relationship.
Or they just crazy.
Period. But I think
there are some crazy.
That level of crazy is connected to emotional feelings. And so I think that when there is a connection emotionally that the person has not detached from, there's going to be a tumultuous situation there. I just believe that once you're over it and you know you're in a healthy situation, either by yourself, because women, I just believe that you don't have to, you know how they say the best way to get over a man is to get with a new one. I say the best way to get over a man is get with yourself
Get
and
your
make
life
sure
together.
that, get your life
Yeah,
and then move on, because if you keep,
you can't go
yeah,
from one to
you
the
can't,
next.
and think that it's gonna be all good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think that connectivity of emotions has to do with what you're referring to as bitterness. So
And men do the same thing. I mean, and I think that goes back to your topic in regards to like men thinking, and that's because there is a level of attachment that they've had with that particular woman, and then they in turn be like, oh, because I mean, when we were younger, we thought the same thing. Oh, she stood down. It's cool, she got, she remember daddy. She remember daddy, and then when you see her at the movies at Queen's Park with another guy eating popcorn, then all of a sudden you're like,
Queen's Park.
Queens.
What year was y'all going to the movies? At Queen's Park.
January 26th. That should say no. But it's that, again, you're right, it's that level of attachment. So that's why I was saying, as far as it's interesting, because it's both sides in regards to.
It's almost a testosterone level though with men. I think it's an ego.
Level with women too.
I think it's an ego thing as it relates to.
But it goes back to the thing we said. Men are hunters and gatherers and protectors. Women are nurturers, and they're very emotional and such. And that's the roles that we've both been introduced to over the years by those who either, they drop their wisdom upon us. I mean, many times we sat on Unc's lap and I'm like, look, boy, look, hey, you see that? And all that. And then women are taught by their mothers that, you gotta either take care of a nice home or be able to raise your children, things of that nature. So now, today's society, it's almost roles are flipping, and it's weird. So then it goes back to, again, our main topic as far as friends of X and why you're in a relationship. Is that the result of us, what we're taught when we were, with mama, daddy, Uncle John, Aunt Betty, that we can't have friends?
Did I hear daddy's in there?
Uncle Benny.
Oh, I
Uncle
was
Benny.
gonna say.
Uncle Benny.
I'm
I
sorry.
always Uncle Benny. He is, oh my God.
I just heard Uncle Daddy, and I just immediately thought, Sister
Plus,
Rye.
yeah, the mountains.
Yeah.
No.
The mountain. Well, I just think that there are varying levels of crazy on both sides.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, if you're with a crazy person, you just may want to work on that situation first before introducing anyone into the relationship. So, work through that.
Right.
And if you're comfortable with the level of crazy, then please proceed with caution.
Yeah. Adrian's always so quiet.
Yeah, she's quiet. It's like
No, Adrian is only quiet up until he throws in something that's like gets everybody off kilter. So I know he's like over there brewing.
right now to get y'all all killed.
Okay, come on.
But that number is off.
What, 50?
Yes.
By how many years?
I would say.
When does the man mature?
Ladies,
What's the timeline?
When does the man mature?
I'm
In your
open
opinion,
to receiving other
tell us what you think.
ages. I just say 50 seems to be a nice round average, in my opinion.
That's kind of weird because then 50 is when we mature, and 30 years later we grow. There's no chance at all
Not
that we
even.
get to enjoy the years of maturity.
Oh, you do?
That's a sad.
It is. I mean, that's
Not
like a
this day and
mayfly.
age. People are taking care of
Could be 100.
themselves much. Yeah, people are taking care of themselves much more nowadays. Some are, some aren't. I'm open to receiving other age suggestions. Not that I'll accept it, but I will hear it.
She will receive it.
Have none of the guys chimed in on it?
No, I think they got
But they held off. They still watching the. Listen, I don't think guys. I know plenty of mature men, and sometimes maturity isn't just your age. You can be mature in different sectors of your character.
Mhm.
Some people are spiritually mature. Some are emotionally mature, mentally. Some have, just a general maturity about themselves. and just some, you know, are still growing. And you can't knock somebody if they're at least growing, because that involves forward movement. And now, if they're just stagnant, living their best life that they lived years ago in 1993, then you might have, you know, a questionable situation. Wearing they cross colors still.
She said cross color, yeah.
So Melissa said, if you want to know crazy, watch Acrimony. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was
I've
crazy.
not seen that.
I did see that. That was,
What is
that
that?
was
Netflix?
definitely crazy.
I'm not familiar. What is Acrimony?
They did the theaters.
It's good.
It's very good.
What's that? Oh,
Yeah, it was a Tyler Perry.
I remember.
It was really good. Yeah,
Listen.
she really lost it.
But if you do think about it, like, think of all the romantic comedies, like the Blockbuster, like the ones that are considered a classic. Even so far back as the, what was it, 16 Candles, where the best friend was in love with the main character.
I never saw it.
Okay. Molly Ringwald, My Best Friend's Wedding, Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, how cute. You know, and not in all of those scenarios did the best friend win.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just a thought.
That was a devious laugh over there.
He's reading what the people were saying.
I'm just tripping off of Lady L.
What'd she say?
She said, great show. Yes, women can move on and act like we never met.
That's the truth.
I don't believe that.
That
I
is
don't
the
believe that.
truth.
I don't believe that.
I am telling you, that is
It does
the
depend on the
truth.
woman.
Depends on.
We will check out on you and act like you never existed.
And that's
real.
I have been told, and this is pre-wedding, but you know, back in my day, I've been told, and this is the reference because, you know, people don't believe it of women, you act like a guy. You know, you've hurt my feelings. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, boo, but bye. Like, women for sure move on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I just had that conversation
Oh, yeah.
with, you know, and I was like, is it something wrong with me that I can do that I can, if we break up and I'm, like I said, when I'm done, I'm done. I can forget that I can almost forget we didn't have a relationship, you know, or something. But Lady O, you are exactly right. Like, we can act like you never ever existed and move on.
I think it depends on the woman.
It does,
It
but
does.
I'll say for this though, but just like what he said earlier, yes, women do usually tend to get emotionally attached, but let that break off.
That's what we're
broke off.
that's what I'm saying. Once that we
attachment
are done,
yeah, it's done.
typically we are done.
What's the oh well, no, I'm not gonna make that one.
Yeah,
When women are done, they're done.
yeah. Lady O, I'm right there with you. Totally understand.
Adrian is so curious.
Yeah, I want you to finish that one up.
I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to.
it.
It's no, I can't.
We don't want to get banned.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Block us from Facebook.
What's going on, Daryl Cook? Thanks for joining us this evening.
Hello.
brother.
Hi.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The
You
women.
can't be saving the comments. You gotta tell us what's
Yeah,
going
she
on
wanna know
over
what
there.
they-
So Melissa said, no, it's a great superpower.
It is a great superpower.
And then Lady O said, once we are mentally gone, it is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, mentally and emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
once we check out emotionally, that's it.
So for the ones that can't do that, it's just they're just crazy.
Nope, I'm not saying that they're crazy. I'm just saying that they're in an emotional place with that particular individual that they can't move forward. And so, you know, I think it's healthy though to be able to, I don't know how healthy it is to be like, I don't even think you existed in my life, but I do think it's healthy to be able to break that emotional tie and move on with your life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be able to do that just to survive. You got to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And to have a healthy relationship with whoever is designed for you.
Mhm.
So
Mr. Excitement said, when can he come on to the show? So we definitely are in the process of scheduling, trying to get all of our topics together and stuff. So stay tuned because we are going to be bringing in special guests. So Yeah, Mr. Excitement. That's Brandon. Single Saving Series. Thank you.
Alright.
We definitely want to do that. Okay, so lady said it just takes them longer to move on with a little good crazy.
Oh. But they still have that superpower.
Yeah. Wow.
Most of them do. I mean, but I've seen some women pine for years and years and years over somebody.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And they've gone in and out of relationships meanwhile, but they were never over that
Original relationship, that
issue.
original hurt. That's right.
But you know what? I can say the same for some guys.
Yep. Me too.
And it might just be, it could be fleeting, because that's what happens with the guys. Like they'll think about something good that they had and be like, oh man, that was great. Let me see what she's doing. That's where the problems come in, because they only want to see for a moment. Usually when a girl pines, it's because they want more to have lasting.
Yeah.
When a guy does, he's usually just thinking of a throwback moment. It's exciting for a minute, and then he's ready to continue on with shit.
Well, I had a couple of guys admit the
What was
one
that?
who got away theory.
Woo, what? I'm telling you, I feel like bashing today. But anyway, go ahead.
Who picked this topic?
Exactly. I had a whole different topic. They said no. I said, y'all chicken. You're just scared.
When we went low, they tried to go high. It took them there anyway.
Apparently, we're paying for it right now.
This is in no way malbashing.
No.
And the views and opinions expressed by the ladies are not that of the men.
It's clearly not the opinion of the guys. But we are giving you some insight to how we think as women. You know, I think men think that they really know how we actually think. You need to be a fly on the wall in girlfriend conversations. You'd be surprised at how we actually think.
Shocked, appalled, and probably a little offended.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
Absolutely.
So quick question, and we're getting kind of a little off, but I want y'all to hear this as well. Devil's advocate time. So fly on the wall, hearing what ladies think about men. Mouse in the corner while you're at the barbershop. What do you think men talk about?
Oh, I've been in the barbershop.
Go to the barbershop.
I mean,
Right.
You don't care if I had to take my son to the barbershop for years, and men do not care how they talk. Even if a woman is in the room, they might like it just a little bit,
Mhm.
but if
But
you
they
still
gonna talk
have
as
some
they talk.
cats in there, go in.
Mhm.
So
Right.
some of the stuff that I mean, and y'all, I
Mhm.
promise you, I wrote about it, but based on some barbershop talk. In one of my books, there's a barbershop talk that goes on. And so, yeah, they talk about some stuff in the barbershop. Yeah.
Now, I'm about to flip it because I knew that was going to be said. So that's in the barbershop. But in a setting in which it's just 1, 2, 3 brothers
Smoking cigars.
smoking cigars and such, or after a basketball game, or whatever the case may be, do you think that dialogue is still the same?
I think it changes.
Somewhat.
I think
Thank you.
I think it changes based on the level of friendship or intimacy that they have with those individuals that they're with.
Exactly.
That's who they're the most
That's what I
honest
wanted
with.
Because
You know,
in
yeah.
the barbershop,
There you
you're
go.
not
That's
going
right.
to get the genuine
Right.
version. You're going
There
to
you
get
go.
the
Right.
puffed up
Yeah.
man
Yeah.
answer. The manser.
The manser.
Testosterone.
Yeah, yeah,
You
You know, the bravado, you're going to get that.
Right.
But I will say, and usually there's always like levels to that in the barbershop. There's always the one that's really truly just being honest with everything.
Mhm.
And then you got some people that's trying to live up to his standards. And then you got like the loud, braggy, you know, braggadocious person that's just, you know, they've done. And, you know, there are, and in this day and age, I think, you know, with social media, perception is so important to a lot of people. Now everybody is just living this glorious life of theirs. It's just not true. But then I think in an intimate setting, if you have friends who have been friends, like, you know, I have to use them as an example. My husband and his best friend have been friends for nearly 30 years. And, you know, their relationship is you know, it's wonderful to watch
Mhm.
because they are that close. Now, do I hear every little thing that they discuss? No, but it's a healthy relationship
Yeah.
that I think all men should experience.
Mhm.
Like for the men to be like, I don't really mess with nobody, you gotta have at least one good person that you can be real with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're always in that barbershop setting, and sometimes that's just unhealthy depending on the surrounding. There are some though that have healthy conversations.
Let me share with you, because Lady O, and then I'm gonna comment on that. Because Lady O said men need to learn to listen to us verbal and non-verbal instead of just hearing us blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Melissa says, I go to the barbershop and I always set it off. I love it because I get a
She said she.
lesson. Okay. So
Get or give.
she said, I get a lesson.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I think it's really interesting, and because of the level of perception that women have that men don't listen. I think that's a generalization, because you'd be surprised the level in which we do listen, and when we do try to respond, and then sometimes it's not, for lack of a better term, it's not accepted, or it's not, it's not just accepted, but it's kind of like overlooked because of how society is right now. Society has the perception that men are men. That's all we do.
Yeah.
You know, we hunt, we gather,
Right.
we just look at women, we Google at them, we don't listen, we don't such and such. And I think what happens is that permeates down to the younger brothers as well. And we older cats ourselves have to be that representation to them, but also we need women to actually help us as well in that regard, to build it up, to educate them and tell them that there are those men. Like I had one sister who complained about, for basically all she said was basically there was nowhere that she could take her son for a mentorship program. And I asked her, I said, okay, does he play football? Yes. Does he play basketball? Yes. Does he run track? Yes. There's mentors right there.
Mhm.
When you go into the barbershop, there's a mentor there. Yes, they get in there and they're braggadocious and they're puffed up and such, but there is a man that is right there that wants to imbue the knowledge and the wisdom that he has into that young person. But it kind of gets stifled sometimes because of that generalization that men don't listen or men do this. There are some men out there, like me and this brother right here. We be having some deep lunch conversations, and his heartfelt concern for his wife and the things he wants to plan and do for her and stuff like that. That needs to be shared more so than the men need to learn to listen to us verbal and non-verbal instead of just having blah, blah, blah. It's there.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, is that, do y'all share those views as far as us not listening?
Not all the time. I do think that okay, for instance, my grandmother told me that if our voice and our tone sounds argumentative all the time, men shut off and they do not hear it. They hear the Peanuts characters, right? But my grandmother also told me that if I speak softly to that man, and I didn't start doing this until I was 38 years old. So my marriage, all I did was yell and scream because I was so frustrated. And so when I turned 38 is when I implemented what she told me. And she said, if you speak softly to him, you know, in a wrath-filled moment, you know, he does hear you, and he will eventually come back and say, honey, you know, let's talk about it. Or even if he never comes back, you know, maybe a month later, he says, I remember you said such and such and such. But, you know, so in that sense, I think that there's a way that we can present things where they will hear us, you know, more readily. But I think, Lady O, I do understand what you're saying too, in terms of we can be screaming something in our body language that they just don't pick up on. But I think we can't just give it in our body language. We have to verbally, you know, come out with it and hope that we can get to a happy medium.
Agreed. As well as I think you just have to be overall in tune with that individual.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly pick up on some vibes. You can just walk in a room and pick up on some vibes.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think sometimes that communication is on different wavelengths and energy levels where honestly, how you said, if you're yelling, they can't receive it, they just shut it off.
Mhm.
But sometimes if they're not in a space to receive it,
That's right. They just won't
receive it.
Right.
And if you're not in a space to deliver it, you're not going to be communicating it well either.
Right.
So I'm going to monkey wrench myself for the guys. That comes with a woman being mature. Maybe not 50 mature. But a woman does have to be mature enough to understand that she may not be giving off good communication energies either.
Right.
And sometimes we do throw the caveman blanket on men and say, you all, you're all alike. You all don't do this. And that's not the case whatsoever. And it's really unfair to the ones that do.
Yeah, and we don't we definitely are not trying to offend.
We will not
Absolutely not.
generalizing.
But we do have to say kind of what's out there. And I know like when we make certain points, women chime in and say, yep, because we're actually giving you what we actually think and how we actually feel.
I'm taking it all in. Trust me, because it's funny that how she brought up the not listening thing, because it is an actual study that I don't know how true it is though, but it makes a little bit of sense of how we do tend to tune a conversation out, not intentionally, but it's just our makeup.
I've done a test on my significant other, and I'll just be talking, and then I'll just say something, and I killed this guy today, and I went on talking, just to see if he says, you killed somebody today, just.
Just wanted to make sure you're listening.
Or if he says, oh, okay, yeah, how'd it go? You know what I mean? You know that they're not listening to you. But I also know that there are certain situations I just can't talk to him in. Because like we can be on the phone. Sorry, baby, putting you out there. We can be on the phone, and if he is, I can always tell when he's gotten engaged in a television. Because it'll sound like dead silence, and I'm like, okay, baby, call me back whenever you finish watching whatever you're watching. You know what I mean? Because certain settings, you just have to be able to learn that individual and know. So we got way off topic though.
Yeah.
Right? Way off.
Well, we're gonna bring it back around because that's part of the whole thing about the friendship of a friend of yours who's being of the opposite sex while you're in a committed relationship. Because here's the thing though, because you can have a friend and they could be of the opposite sex or whatever sort, but it still goes back around. That one true friend is your significant other, because they pick up on those little subtleties that quote unquote friend, is not going to. And then also that significant other is going to really be in your corner when your quote unquote friend, you think it's going to be there.
Well,
a lot of times they're not.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate today. How about that? And I'm going to say, sometimes there are friends of the opposite sex because we need somebody to talk to who is actually listening. And they may be, they don't hear our voices often and they want to hear
That's
what we have to say. They swoop in.
When they come in.
Hey, what do you guys think?
So Lady O said, we love our men. We try not to male bash. It's about teaching each other.
Right. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Lady O.
That's great.
Lady O, great.
We are continually growing. We must be aware of where we are.
That's right.
That's right. There you go. And see, that's the biggest thing. And this dialogue is what's going to be helpful in regards to, because again, the dynamic is, we can't be friends with the opposite sex versus some who say you can, and then some say, well, what if you've been intimate? And then people are like, well, it's just the energies. I mean, this dialogue is really important because of today's society has totally gone off kilter, and men are being men in the household at times. Women are being so independent that they forget they're nurturing the spirit and love, and then you've got children that are actually watching this and such, And then it's like, how do they turn out? Do they mimic the things that they are seeing?
Of course,
Or do they take it? Yeah, they take it to the next level. Like, so this dialogue is important. And Lady L, we appreciate you chiming in and such. I had to throw that out there as a devil's advocate to keep it going. But it's important, like you said, for us to learn from this.
Yeah,
to grow from it. Yeah.
I appreciate y'all sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime.
I know come January 26th, I'm gonna be a grown man. Let's see. So Heidi just said, okay, I'm home now. She said I was driving. So I think if my man had a best friend of the opposite sex before we met and we were introduced and we all hung out, I could see the true friendship. Okay, I can see the true friendship. Then that's fine. But he can't come home with no new friend.
No new
Female
friends.
friend.
Ain't no new
Friend.
friends. No.
They gotta be
friends?
no new
They
friends.
better have known you since before Gumby.
Yeah.
You had Ronald Reagan, Travis Passion. Yeah. I'm
I
sorry.
see how you would have time to develop. If you're in
Yeah.
if you're in a relationship or in a marriage, how would you have had time to develop a best friendship with a new friend?
Let me tell you something. That's where people get cut.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just tell you, don't come home with no new friends.
No new
Wow.
friends.
Do not come home with no new friends.
Hey, Heidi, I'm right there with you.
I agree.
Heidi, I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, honey, I just met Jane at the market. She's my best friend. So, okay, you invite Jane over here.
Or, honey, I work with this person and we become best friends.
No.
No,
That's
that
legitimate.
doesn't. No.
That's legitimate. Your significant other is your best friend. Period.
So
Right.
you can't have more than one best friend.
No, I'm not. We didn't say that. But you can't have no new best friends. Not if we've been in a relationship for 10 years, and all of a sudden you got a new bestie, and I don't know it.
But okay, that's right, if you don't know, but what if you work with them for say 3 years, you mention them in dialogue and such, you see them at the company party, then all of a sudden, it's like y'all on the phone, chit-chatting and stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Nope.
So it just so the title just matters.
Ooh, yes, there you go, brother. Thank you for jumping in on that. Yes,
So we
interesting.
can get away with just saying friend.
We can say friend, we can't say best friend.
No, you're not gonna. Don't be on the phone chopping it up.
Yeah, you don't have anything to talk about outside of work. Y'all are work
I
buddies.
mean, I can
Y'all
see,
could
I
crack
can
up
see
a work.
if you had a friend from Mahogany. I'm right there with you, honey. Like, if the friend was from childhood or college or whatever, okay, I'm good with that. But I don't think I'm good with a new best friend. And I know he wouldn't be good with a new best friend.
Just
So
I
it can't
know
be
that.
best, like you said, it can't be best friend, it's gotta be friend.
He ain't even gonna be good with a new good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Showing
not
up
gonna happen.
like, yo, me and
Mm-mm.
blah blah going to hang out after work.
No.
Really? So no.
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 And you
No.
said one
How
more
many times do
time.
we have to say it?
Okay, hold on.
No.
Okay, so Lady O said, good night, round table, great topic, till the next time. Thank
All
you,
right,
Lady O,
Lady
we
O, see you
appreciate
later.
you. So Heidi said no. So, okay, before we get ready to close out, because we've been doing this for an hour, it's been wonderful. But I want to make sure we understand. She said new best friend, new friend, period. Wait a minute, hold on. So Heidi, are you saying no new best friend, but can be a new friend?
No,
Is that what
she's
you're
saying
saying?
no
No.
new friend, no new best friend,
No.
period.
Nothing.
So,
No means no.
okay, so again, going back into the dynamic, you work with this individual, you've mentioned to them at home, whatever the case may be, blah, blah, blah. You've talked to them, on the phone, this, that, and the third, but then all of a sudden, no?
No.
It's not there's not any scenario you can lay over that
No.
track.
No friend,
No.
no new friend.
No
No.
new friends.
Are we sure?
Absolutely
Are
sure.
we sure?
Let
Okay,
me-
so again, if you work with this person and you've talked to them on the phone, your significant other know of this person and such, and then y'all talk and such on the phone, and then you say afterward,
What are you getting at?
I'm trying to lay out I want to make sure I'm understanding. I want to lay out the picture. So I'm
Okay.
saying
Because
with all that dynamic,
we all going together. We all talking on the phone. Call me on the phone.
Yeah. We're going
I mean, we need to
you
talk.
bring your spouse, I
What
bring
y'all
my
need to
spouse.
talk about?
yeah.
What
There's
is
some-
there out there to talk about?
I would say
And
this.
So my thing is just a trust there between
Yeah.
them. I'm just curious because I'm getting confused now.
I'm very confused because it goes from what we talked about earlier to now, and it's
Okay,
like,
so you be good with that?
am I good with that?
You know good well you would be good with that.
Am I good with
I
that?
can call Coop on the phone right now. He gonna be like, no new friends, baby. You already know that. Bye.
I just
But
can't
I
see
guess-
myself bringing home someone saying that I've developed enough of a relationship in my place of employment that I'm supposed to be working all day, but now we've divulged and dived into this friendship. It's like, I have a great working relationship with my coworkers.
Right.
And we even text each other over the weekend like, this is a funny meme, this is this, but never would I introduce them or say, this is, my dear, dear friend. No, that's my work associate that I'm with, but
work.
it ain't nothing else. Like we're not going to lunches together. If
We're not
the whole team ain't going.
If the whole team ain't going, we ain't going.
Just because it can set up for you're putting yourself in a situation for an intimate setting. I feel.
Yeah.
So,
because you don't have that bond.
Okay, so I'm gonna just throw it out here, and I'll probably get hit in the head for it, or whatever sort. I'm willing to take that. I'm built like that. So so you've worked with somebody, you've done this, you've done that, you mentioned this to your significant other, and over time, period of years, whatever sort. So then they finally get to come to your home and such, and you're like, hey, this is so and so, blah blah blah. Yeah, you remember, blah blah blah, or whatever the case may be. So you're saying that's not allowed because that, like you just mentioned, that's more of a work associate and such.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be.
I'm just trying to figure out where you've had time at work and like I'm not calling. Even like okay, so I'm in property management and your maintenance supervisor is pretty close to you,
right?
But I ain't calling him after work, and talking and chopping it up. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, unless I take the team to lunch. We're not going to lunch building. We had to travel together to go to a conference.
Right.
That's a whole different ballgame because we had to work.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't feel the need to. What I was like just texting him after doing hanging out. I mean, meet me at the bar. No.
Right.
No.
Because it's a professional relationship.
Right.
And I just feel like, when you're at work, and we spend a lot of time with these people we're at work with, because there we are all day. Sometimes you even have to travel with them.
Right.
But, and I'll even go as far as going to the bar to have a drink. But you believe you me. Like after a drink, I'm probably back in my room, not talking to them, on the phone with my spouse, just because it's not like, oh man, we stayed out all night, we just had class because we're best friends. No, I think that is it's a professional relationship.
Best friends, whatever.
It's just
think that I need to know where you've had the time to develop a new friendship. If your time is spent with your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible.
At work would be the only way.
What do you do at work
that's an example that I would use.
At work would be the only way.
Enough of yourself. I don't know. I think I'm just more stingy with my friendship.
I'm more stingy with the word
even with the girls.
Right.
Girls, because it's like, oh, we should hang out and get a drink. It's like, it sounds like a good idea. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Because
I really honestly think that it's possible with you taking your significant other, respectfully keeping her in mind. I'm not gonna sit up there and just be texting people out, out of the blue like that, or just like how y'all phrased it, call them, just chopping it up with them. But I do believe that you can have a friendship.
That's an associate.
I'm just saying something.
That's what you did.
I'm just saying it's a title.
A friend of your friendship. Okay, the word friend is that's a no. If you're my friend, I got your back.
Okay.
I'm sharing stuff with you.
Okay.
You're my friend. If you're my best friend, there's a different level even to that.
Right. We eliminated the best friend portion. We just went back to the friend part. So that's there's per what you're saying, there's a uniqueness, there's a special relationship that you have to have with someone in order for them to be into that.
Okay.
So,
right,
so
yeah.
technically they're associates, and that's a special level, that's a special area for them to be.
So
in,
if you have veered into the friendship zone,
Mm-hmm.
that means we've spent enough time together for me to develop and cultivate something that warrants a friendship. I'm
Right.
trying to figure out,
Right.
when did you have time to do that? If exactly.
But, and I'll
Yeah.
say this, because I know we gotta go.
Yeah, we
Yes,
do.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, we're at night one.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I will say this. We are, I think, a great example of what you were trying to ask, Carrie.
What's that?
None of us, well, I don't know if y'all did, but we didn't grow up together.
Right.
But we are all friends.
Yeah, we didn't. He and I didn't.
We have even hung out socially, this ragtag bunch of journalists have come together, and through working together repetitively and over time,
Yes.
now, this wonderful product has come of it.
Right.
But, and we talk, but I mean, even use us as an example. We don't talk like that.
That's right.
We
don't.
We do and we don't.
We do and we don't.
We do and we
We
don't.
do and we don't, because we have discussed, and this is just for the masses, and then we go, but we have discussed certain things that takes us like.
But we skipped
And we
friends
share it.
and went straight to family, because we refer to each other as brother and sister more often than not. So
Right.
we just
But
bypass that
Where does it
whole.
go? It goes back to respect.
Yeah.
Because
And professionalism.
every significant other involved in this ragtag bunch
Mhm.
know who everybody
That's
is,
true.
and there's a level of respect.
You
They
know, it's
met,
been that dialogue.
exactly.
It's been that dialogue
There you
at
go.
home. They know about certain people that you
Right.
talked about and mentioned because you've done work with them. You've gone out a little bit afterwards, after
Right.
said work, and maybe shared a beer or whatever.
Right.
And then now we are that byproduct.
Right.
So
But even
that's that.
still,
So that's that friendship.
but even still, we do
Level of
that in a
But-
group for the most part.
And also, to be clear, I knew of all y'all before Coop. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you know what I mean?
Well,
So
not me.
it's not new friends. You know what I'm saying? You guys aren't new friends.
Right. No new friends.
So how do you say, you can also see the kind of relationship that you all have too. Good point.
Thank you.
And
We
it,
look like brothers.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
wait a minute. Oh, okay, so I gotta throw this out there and we're gonna close. Because here go Tammy, she says, once you have left work, you should not be having a serious conversation with your coworker. I'm gonna cut it off right there.
No, she didn't say that.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't.
Did she not?
No, she didn't.
Okay, so, okay, and on that
Maybe I
note,
think you should.
that's
I
kind of
think you're
interesting. Again, that's that dialogue again. You have to be careful with what you say, because a lot of times certain things you're saying, it's like, wait a minute.
We got to revisit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to revisit this one right here.
Oh
This is
my
interesting.
God.
So we done went from
Thank you, Tammy.
can you be best
Thank
friends
you.
with the opposite sex to can you be friends with your coworker?
Right. I mean, we went completely.
Because they are the opposite sex.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think the devil is in the details.
The devil is in the details.
I think
And the
it's-
devil brings
Right.
confusion.
It's a lot of
So,
detail.
It's confusion. This is not of God.
Listen, exactly. So don't come home talking about you and
You
your
guys
best
are
friend
friends.
at work.
We don't talk about best friend. Remember, we just said
Friend.
friend.
You
There is no
just-
best.
okay,
It's
hold
just
back.
friend.
Devil is in the details, and I think you just being devil's advocate right now.
It's all about the terminology, because if you really think about it, again, it's the perception versus the actuality. The terminology being used is no best friend, but friend. Then you don't have time in order to have a friend
And
while
really-
you're at work. But then it's like many of us have worked, like I work for the county. I've over 4, maybe 5 years developed a friendship with some of my coworkers there, to the point in which I can call them if I need a ride, or they call me asking me for advice, or they tell me about their young person and I'm mentoring their young person. Nobody who is just an associate is going to allow you to have that type of level of interaction with their family to mentor and do all these other things unless they're friends.
Yeah.
So if you dealt that over 4 or 5 years, and granted, all of us have worked in a workstation and have worked with people, and over the years, it's gone from basically, let me borrow a pencil, to child, I see you at the bar after work, and then you talking to each other, you conversing, you find out who's doing what over the weekend, and blah, blah, blah. That has happened over a period of years, and that's what I was trying to
I'll
say.
tell you.
But it's,
Well, I've been in management 96 7% of my adult life. I can't develop those type of friendships because it really muddies the water, especially when you're in a situation where you have to.
You have to impose,
Exactly.
But it's that level. I think it's that level of how everybody has a different management style, and I think it is. It's one of those things in which you got to be able. Prime example: we had a coworker who just left. We're gonna close. We had a coworker who just left to go work for federal government, and she was great friends with her subordinates. They could come to her, they confide in her, she's giving them rides to work, everything of that nature, and they respect her even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
She's been there for the births of some of their children. She's gone out and seen them at weddings. She's done all these things. So, and she managed the whole department. I had that way with my team that I managed as well. Same thing, you know, some of them were great friends, some of them were just like, you know, I'm gonna keep you on arm's length. So I think I think we kind of muddied the water a little bit in regards to not being able to quote unquote have a friend, because I can honestly say I've been blessed with some great friends at work. This one is one of them. This one right here. Remember our coffee meeting at Starbucks when I was trying to, and we are what now? Friends. Okay. So I think we have to be very careful. You know, it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like, no, we're not, but in a sense we are.
Yes. But we knew each other professionally.
You heard about me professionally, but we never worked with each other, right?
Right.
And I told you I've always wanted to work with you.
Yes, and then we started working together professionally, but then just from the repetitiveness of being in the same spots, working together, then the podcast. So yeah,
and that's a before podcast, because remember it was at the what's his name, Kevin's events.
Yeah.
You met Renee.
Yeah. Because we just was in that same.
There you go. Yeah.
Good journalism. We all hang together.
So with that being said, y'all, we can go all night with this, but
We're really good.
Gotta go home, cook, take some drugs, all kinds of stuff. But we thank y'all for being a part.
Thank
of
y'all.
That was fun.
It was,
We was long-winded on this for y'all. Sorry.
Making up for lost time.
yeah, it's been a while. So check us out in the next 2 weeks. We'll be doing another At the Roundtable podcast. If you have an idea in regards to a topic, if you'd like to be a guest, our goal tonight is to have 500 likes. The person who likes us, the 500 person that likes us will receive a special gift package. We're going to send it straight to you. So share this with everybody. Tell them to like it. Your mom and them, pop and them, and check out these ladies and their endeavors. Stay tuned because they got a lot of stuff going on. And I guess we'll do it again real soon.
Yeah. All right. All right, y'all.
Peace, love, and peace.
Don't call your coworkers.
Lord.
Friend.
Not your best friend.
No new
Just
friends.
friend.
Go to bed. Don't call me.